All right, coming up on SportsCenter this hour, fresh off the news that quarterback Jake Cutler has agreed to a one-year, $10 million deal with the Dolphins. We'll hear from Miami coach Adam Gase. Plus, actor Keegan-Michael Key is here in studio. We'll talk to him about his new Netflix show and his favorite teams, the Lions and Penn State. Also, the Cubs won their first World Series in over a century, but it was a game in the NLDS that might be looked as the most important game of that magical run. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
They're echoing this similar sentiment and saying ball security and consistency.
I'm just slipping that underneath your chair, Jeff. I'm just woo, just like that.
More of this. Are you guys both on NFL Live today?
We are.
We are.
That's tremendous. So just watch. It's honestly just
it's gonna be a good time. You know?
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Still ahead, a tortured Lions fan, a Penn State graduate, a classically trained
veteran wide receiver Brandon Marshall. So how is he gelling with quarterback Eli Manning?
So far, the early returns are positive, and it showed yesterday here on
nothing.
We'll see. We'll have to wait and see for that one. Now, elsewhere around the NFL, crushing news for the Jets, who lost their top wide receiver Quincy Enunwa for the season with a bulging disc in his neck that will require surgery. So where do the Jets go from here?
Well, he's going to be out 6 to 9 months, so he's not going to play for this season.
To Ezekiel Elliott, it's dragged now for over a year. When can we expect a decision of what's going to happen with him?
Tony, I think the best way to say it right now is that Ezekiel Elliott, draft pick in 2018, we mentioned the Dallas Cowboys and Ezekiel Elliott on the clock. Well, a lot of people think the Jets could soon be on the clock.
Already early. Now to a strange story in Jacksonville. Brandon Albert announced his retirement from the Jags on July 31st. Now he's told the Jags that he's changed his mind. What's the deal here?
What it usually is, money. Right? Because if he stays out and stays retired, he's got to pay back $3.
A national coming out party for him. We didn't get an encore from Trout last night, but don't worry, we have plenty of great catches for you this morning.
I remember the one in 2015 against the Mariners when he robbed Jesus Montero. Yeah. That was good. But yes, we have 3 great outfielders that shined last night, and we got to show you guys this.
Why don't you?
We're keeping an eye on Camp Newton. He will not play tonight. Adam, any concern regarding his injury and how he's doing coming off it?
Well, listen, I think they're being very careful.
Wait, supposedly, though, he also had the weight to lose, and that might have been the issue to begin with.
Yeah.
More from Lewis and Adam later today, NFL Live, 1:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. It's easy for me to say. I'm wearing makeup on television.
John, how did you two come together and begin this whole process for this book?
I would have to say dumb luck. I was a high school hockey player of mediocre ability, which makes you a sports writer eventually. That way. You can't ask a man to fork over that much.
No, I mean, when you outlined the struggles that he had mentally, physically, verbally, for a guy who embodied the very best of those traits, I mean, he was so, is vulnerable the right word to use in his dealings with you?
I think so. He was.
And you say, okay, that's all well and good. Does John want to meet with me? You know, 30-year-old, never met him, coming from a place he never worked.
Right.
And he did. He took that time, he took that pride, and he followed up with you, even if you were too reticent to follow up with him via the...
Tony, New York and Houston started to...
Is the length of time. What do you make of the length of time the NFL has come to make a decision on this?
Well, I think it's the baffling thing for...
Such a huge piece of that franchise. Damien, stay close just for a second. Let's go out to worried about there being a suspension. Jason Witten told Todd Archer the same thing. We don't think he's going to miss any time. Do you believe them? Such a disconnect here. The Cowboys themselves saying, we're fine, we don't think there's going to be a suspension, when basically around here,
that's the story.
For a Friday in the summer, it's all hands on deck. We're waiting. It's not an if proposition where some news is going to come down. It's when, and we're waiting for it today. But the Cowboys are sitting there saying, no.
They're telling us what we want to hear, basically.
We got them. Yeah.
But like in the locker room, how does that play? Like, what are you telling as a veteran, or like you see the rookies coming in? How do you guys handle that to continue like that?
Well, we've athletes been trained.
Some sort of decision, some sort of news with regard to a possible suspension for Ezekiel Elliott. When that happens, we'll have it for you here on SportsCenter. Damian Woody with the insight. With us here, we've established contact with the former Cowboy, and now he works for us here at ESPN. And Darren, your reaction when you hear 6 games, a 6-game suspension for Zeke Elliott there in Dallas? You, Damian, here. We have Stefano Fusaro out at Cowboys camp. We'll get to him in just a moment. But from an NFL, take off your husband hat, take off your father hat here. From an NFLPA standpoint, a young and up-and-coming superstar has been suspended 6 games when no criminal charges have been filed. From a member formerly of the NFLPA, how does that sit with you?
Doesn't sit well.
23rd would be his first opportunity to be back with the team. And part of the quote that was actually given to Zeke Elliott himself was, quote, and this is coming from Todd Jones, NFL Special Counsel of Conduct, "We're of the view there's substantial and persuasive evidence supporting a finding that Elliott engaged in physical violence on the week of July 16th, 2016. No criminal charges. And we asked you to put on your NFLPA hat. Now put on your NFL player hat. How do you rally your football team? If you're in the Cowboys, you're part of that offensive line that's going to have to block for somebody, whether it's Ronnie Hillman or Darren McFadden or whomever, Alfred Morris, whoever it may be. How do you use this? How can you turn this into a positive, considering if you're on the Cowboys, you probably feel like you're slighted right now?
Well, listen, it's definitely a gut punch not having one of your primary offensive weapons. But again, I go back to
a 6-game suspension for Ezekiel Elliott. Damian Woody with the insight. We really appreciate it, putting on a bunch of different hats for us. We're done here on SportsCenter. Much more on this story on ESPN.com and throughout the day.